All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wonderful people, lovers of freedom all over the world. Wherever you're joining us from today, you're highly welcome to Expose News TV. Once again, we thank you for always sharing our videos. For those who have been sharing our videos, and for those who haven't been sharing, we'll also urge you to try as much as possible to share our video or show us any support in any way you can. Now, straight up to the issue on ground because a lot of things has actually happened this week. In fact, I will say this week has actually marked a remarkable week and a week for the Biafran people to, continue to experience what it feels to be happy, especially when you see that every hope is coming. At least we can say that freedom is actually coming with the hopes and the high hopes of what we are hoping on the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá to bring to our people. Honestly speaking, the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá Njoko has actually tried in his pursuit for this freedom. Now, a lot of things happened in few days, both the winning of Donald Trump and the visit of the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá Njoko to the Finland president office and the cabinet meeting. Also, the Prime Minister yesterday dropped a powerful live broadcast for every Biafran. And wherever you are, if truly you are a Biafran, you really need to watch this live broadcast from the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá, where he addressed some critical issues. He addressed some critical issues that people have asked questions about, and he went further, to handle one or two questions that Biafrans have been asking regarding the December 2nd declaration. But one thing we must point out is that at least we can say we have a prime minister who is ready to give us Biafra. So many have come, so many have gone, apart from Mazen Kanu, who brought up, a backup plan that is bringing out the prime minister Simon Èkpá, which was a perfect backup plan. Every other person we've seen in this struggle, trying to push the struggle has been rebellious. And that is why, somebody like, what is this, Wazirike, when you talk about the current, administration of the Biafran Republic government in exile and how they are handling their own, somebody like Wazirike will tell you that when we started it, when we did it, he wasn't there. Where was he when we started? It's not about, I get him before. This is a man who rebelled against the struggle. But we are seeing somebody who has a strategy, who has a plan, and who has been working, towards these plans. And for the first time, the level at which the Biafran freedom has gone globally is something very, very encouraging. People are so encouraged. People are happy, to talk about Biafra at this point in time because of the global recognition. The reality is that the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá has set a global recognition for the Biafran freedom, and that is why so many people are proud now. Biafrans are proud. Both those living in diaspora are proud to come out to say, that they are Biafrans. Because it's as if for the first time we are already there. In as much as we haven't gotten there, it is as if we're already there. And that is why everybody is hoping on the December 2nd declaration. But meanwhile, let us hear from the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá Njoko.
Laying this background of the importance of the assent or ratifying the Treaty of the United Nations and abide by it, which Nigeria have violated for decades with impunity. So Biafra will be a better alternative for every humankind who wish to be in a civilized world. And Biafra will be a model for other African state who are tyrannic, who does not know the rule of law, who are not democratic, Biafra will be a model for them to learn. So when we ratify these treaties, we will make sure that Biafra become the only African country that will lay a foundation and make a model for other countries to learn. So, and by doing that, it will go a long way in restoring peace, lasting peace in Africa when others learn how to abide by the rule of law and also how to abide and respect the treaties that you signed into law as a country and as a state. Any country without rule of law, any country that does not respect constitution, that country is bound to fail. And that's why Nigeria has failed. Nigeria has no rule of law. Nigeria does not respect its so-called constitution. Nigeria does not respect And so that is the reason for the anarchy. That is the reason for the insecurity. Apart from the Islamic State agenda, this is the backbone of the insecurity today in Nigeria. That's why Nigeria has become ungovernable and Nigeria has become a failed state, because they do not have the rule of law and they do not respect their own law, not to talk of treaties they are assented to. Biafra will provide a solution. One of the solutions is we will abide by these rules and norms of international treaties and convention that we will be ratifying during the convention in Finland. So, what is the working group that gave Nigeria ultimatum to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that they kidnapped from Kenya, extraordinarily rendition to Nigeria under torture, inhumane treatment, degrading treatment, and what have you? The working group has the mandate to investigate cases of deprivation of liberty imposed arbitrarily and inconsistently with international standard set forth in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights or international instrument accepted by the state concerned. That is what this working group is all about. The working group investigates alleged cases of arbitrary detention, like in the case of thousands of Biafrans, including Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They do this by sending urgent appeal and communications to concerned government, just like they have done to Nigeria, to clarify and or bring the attention of these cases, which they did to Nigeria. They gave Nigeria 6 months. The working group also considers individual complaint. So as you are, like those families that Nigeria have killed, murdered their relative, they can also individually file complaint directly to this particular group. Under its regular communication procedure, leading to the adoption of opinions. So when you file this complaint, they give opinions as to the arbitrariness of this detention. In addition, the working group conduct country visit to assess the situation of deprivation of liberty in the country. That is the primary objective of this working group on arbitrary detention that gave Nigeria 6 months to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and also fine Nigeria to compensate Mazi Nnamdi Kanu monetarily. Nigeria violated this opinion of the working group, which is a direct violation of the United Nations Charter on Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which Nigeria also assented and signed into their own law and accepted. They will abide by these rules and regulations that makes you stand firm in the Committee of Nations. So any country that is violating this kind of law with impunity have lost every legitimacy, including within the United Nations. And this same Nigeria was at the UN General Assembly seeking to become a permanent member. A permanent member of organization that you violate their own laws and treaties. My fellow Biafrans, I just want you to have a little background knowledge about what I'm about to explain this evening, why Biafra is bringing an alternative, not just by ratifying the United Nations International Human Rights Treaties at the convention in Finland, but also making sure that we abide by these laws and treaties to make sure we restore peace and order, because that is the only pathway to peace and order in the entire region. Any country that is violating this right with impunity is bringing anarchy, and that is the reason why there is a lot of anarchy in Nigeria, because they do not respect rule of law. They are nomadic, they are Islamic State. The only agenda is Islamic agenda. I will also need to inform you that many Islamic countries did not assent to some of these human rights treaties. And that's exactly the direction Nigeria is going. Or they are already in that direction. So Biafra is an alternative to restore peace and stability in the Sahel and beyond. My fellow Biafrans that are listening to me today, I want you to understand that there are some of these, at least you are going to hear from me, some of these international human rights treaties of the United Nations that Biafra government will be rectifying during the convention of the Biafra in Finland. My fellow Biafrans, you may need to understand the concept of these treaties and what it bounds to do. What are the indicators of these treaties, which will become one of the backbone of the Biafra government as we pursue the recognition of the government of Biafra after the convention, after the declaration of the restoration of independence of Biafra, and we have formed a legal document from the convention, and this ratification of treaties will form a major part of the document that the Biafra government will form during the convention in Finland. So the indicator referred to as a state, that consent, a state consent to be bound by the human rights treaties under international law. So when you as a state consent to this international treaty, you are bound. You are bound by those treaties to make sure that you stand by that treaties, and by doing so, you restore peace and stability in your country and in your region. The reason for the insecurity today, apart from the kidnap of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Nigeria violated that particular treaty. They did not bound by it. So what is the rationale? When a state ratifies one of the international human rights treaty, it assumes a legal obligation to implement the right recognized in that treaty. Do you understand the word? When a state ratifies, like Nigeria ratifies this law, Nigeria, if it's supposed to be a country, under international human rights treaty, Nigeria assumes legal obligation, obliged to implement the rights recognized in that treaty. And what are these rights? Do not commit the crime of kidnapping people. Do not commit the crime of arbitrarily detaining people. Do not commit the crime of torturing people. Do not commit the crime of depriving people their liberty. Nigeria have committed all this crime against the Biafran people, especially Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And they are still standing on this crime, that if heaven is going to fall, let it fall. That's where we are today. We are still settling the matter. Now, Through ratification, states undertake to put in place domestic measures and legislation compatible with their treaty obligation. The state also commit to submitting regular report on how the rights are being implemented to the monitoring committee set up under the treaty. Now, how can Nigeria now submit a report on how they are implementing this right, which they signed into, by arbitrarily detaining Mazin and detaining thousands of Biafrans illegally? So they are going to write a report that, oh, Biafrans are agitating, so we catch them, we kidnap some of them, we distribute them to different parts of northern Nigeria, and they are not going to court. As a matter of fact, we have thousands of Biafrans inside the prison, and there is no trial, and some of them have been there for 20 years. And they will write, is that the report they're going to write to the United Nations? In accordance with the treaty Nigeria signed? The answer is no. They can't even write a report, not to talk of writing what they are doing. So Biafra is coming to ratify these particular treaties and provide solution and alternative to Nigeria. That's what we're doing, to make sure we safeguard the life of our people, and no sane human being can have a contrary opinion or go against Biafra becoming a nation, in order to restore peace and stability in the entire Sahel region by following this particular rules and regulation of the international law. So you see, the reason we are sacrificing everything, taking the risk we are taking, is for humanity. So everybody can at least enjoy some level of peace. Now, this particular concept of the international treaties mandate the state to also commit to submitting regular report on how the rights are being implemented to the monitoring committee set up under the treaty. Who are this committee? The working group is part of the committee set up by this particular treaty. The committee that have mandated Nigeria to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, not only Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but his own case is more of, getting an international attention. Now, this committee, Nigeria, for ratifying this particular treaty, is mandated to submit a report to this committee that they are snubbed, violated their own ultimatum with impunity. So which face would Nigeria use to challenge the Biafra government when we are here to say enough is enough with your impunity, enough is enough with your supporting of terrorism? We are not even talking about them funding terrorism, giving them guns and arms to fight and kill indigenous people to take over their land in the name of Islamic State. We are not even talking about that yet. We are talking about only the arbitrary detention of innocent citizens, so-called innocent citizens, arbitrary detention of those who were exercising their right protected under this United Nations treaty. That is what we are still addressing. We are not addressing their terrorism and how they are killing people, extrajudicial killings and all that. No, we are only talking about this particular detention of innocent people. How Nigeria violates this law with impunity that lead to the anarchy that you see today. Because the solution to prevent anarchy, to prevent instability, has been laid down in all these principles and treaties that we are going to assent to. And once you begin to violate it, you are opening and creating a loophole for anarchy to come in, because people are going to resist you. When you violate people's rights, using gun and bullet, think you can use them to suppress them for a long time? No, at a point they will fight back. And that is why I am leading the fighting back against Nigeria today. And I will stand anywhere, anytime in the world to defend how I am leading the pushback to fight against the terrorist state of Nigeria with our guns and bullets. What is the concept of this treaty? A state party to a treaty is a state that has expressed consent by an act of ratification, accession, or succession, and where the treaty has entered into force, or a state about to become a party after formal reception by the United Nations Secretary of the state decision to be a party. A signatory to a treaty is a state that provided a preliminary endorsement of the instrument and its intent to examine the treaty domestically and consider ratifying it. No action means that a state did not express its consent. Nigeria expressed its consent in ratifying these treaties that they are now violating, and Biafra is the only alternative to bring to an end to the impunity. No, so my brother Biafra people, I want to quickly inform the entire Biafra people some of the international human rights treaty under the United Nations that Biafra government will ratify during the convention in Finland on the 2nd of December. I want to inform you, we are not only declaring the restoration of Biafra on the 2nd of December, but we are also ratifying the United Nations international human rights treaties and become party to these treaties to abide by these rules and regulations in order to restore peace and stability. Nigeria have not done that for decades. We are going to provide that solution. So, on this note, the Biafra people will gather in the convention alongside with many observers that will be coming from all over the world to observe the convention of the Biafra government, both in the homeland and in diaspora in exile. On that day, Biafra will ratify the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, which was adopted in 1965. On the 2nd of December 2024, as we declare the restoration of the sovereign state of Biafra, Biafra will ratify the United Nations International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which was found in 1966. My fellow Biafrans and the good people of the world that are listening and are very, very sympathetic to the cause of Biafra people, I want you to understand that Biafra will be the beginning of civilization in Africa. We have suffered enough. Our people have been killed, and those who made it alive today should go and thank their God that they are alive to witness this particular history that we are making in this generation. On the 2nd of December 2024, that historic day, Biafra will ratify the United Nations International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. My fellow Biafrans, I want you to understand what we are doing. For those who think that this is a joke, you will understand after 2nd of December. My fellow Biafrans, on 2nd of December, the Biafra government will ratify and assent to the United Nations Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment, which came into force in 1984. On the 2nd of December 2024, Biafra government will assent and rectify the United Nations Convention on the Right of Child, which came into force in 1989. We are laying this foundation for those who do not understand how Biafra will restore stability in the entire region, to understand that only by the rule of law that sanity will return to the region of the West Africa, largest resources. On the 2nd of December 2024, during the convention that will shape the history of Africa, Biafra government will assent and ratify the United Nations International Convention on the Protection of Rights of all migrant workers and members of their families, which came into force in 1990. My fellow Biafrans, on the 2nd of December, we are not just only declaring the restoration of independence state of Biafra to raise a legal document, but we are also assenting as a government, ratifying the United Nations International Convention for Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance. Today, Nigeria is known for enforcing the disappearance of those who criticize it, who criticize the government, those who criticize the leaders, those who criticize officials. They enforce their disappearance. Just a few days ago, we listened to one of the lawmakers bragging to a taxi driver how he can make him disappear and nobody will talk about him anymore. It happens. Thousands of people have disappeared as a result of them criticizing the government officials. While Nigeria was party to this treaty, they encourage and use their law enforcement agencies to violate it. Biafra is bringing alternative. How can you come against the Biafra government? We are people that embrace the future and innovation. So we are going to abide by this international covenant, international law, and international treaty, making sure that it is a pathway to restore peace and stability. On the 2nd of December 2024, the Biafra government will not only declare the restoration of independence state of Biafra to restore peace and stability in the Sahel region, but we are also going to assent and ratify the Convention on the Right of Persons with Disability. My fellow Biafrans, on the 2nd of December, when you hear them say December 2nd will come, a lot is going to happen that day. It's going to be one of the most important days in the history of humankind. The Biafra government, during this convention on the 2nd of December, will ratify and assent to the United Nations optional protocol to the Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. My fellow Biafrans, on that same day, 2nd of December, the Biafra government will also ratify and assent up to the optional protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. My fellow Biafra people and the lovers of freedom across the world, we are solidifying the legal document that will form the pathway to the recognition of the Biafra as a government, as a state, and then also to bring in lasting peace to the already deteriorating security situation in the Sahel and in the region of the eastern part of Nigeria called Biafra. My fellow Biafrans, on the 2nd of December, the Biafra government will be ratifying and assenting to the United Nations second optional protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And our aim is the abolition of the death penalty. This particular convention aiming at the abolition of death penalty, Biafra government will assent and ratify this treaty. In Finland, where I live, which we have taken models from the Constitution and many structure of the government, we do not have death penalty. And here, everybody is enjoying, and the government is working for the people. Crime rate is very low. My fellow Biafran, on the 2nd of December, the Biafra government, during the convention, will ratify and assent to the United Nations Optional Protocol to the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, which came into force in 1999. The Biafra government will ratify and assent to this convention and treaty. My fellow Biafran, the Biafra government, under my leadership as a prime minister, during the convention in Finland on the 2nd of December 2024, will also ratify and assent to the United Nations Optional Protocol to the Convention on the Right of the Child on the Involvement of Children in Armed Conflict. We will ratify this treaty and abide by it, not like the Nigeria terrorist state are doing in the northern Nigeria. On this 2nd of December 2024, as we declare raising a document for the restoration of independence of Biafra, the Biafra government will ratify and consent to the United Nations Optional Protocol to the Convention on the Right of Child, on the Sales of Children, Child Prostitution, and child pornography. Like under Nigeria, these are not crimes. Why Nigeria assent and sign into these particular treaties, they do not even know the value. They do not know the value in the society. They do not know how it helped to shape in society to become a better society like you have in Europe. Like one of the criminals in IPOB, Nigeria, was surprised why Simon Èkpá is making all these utterances in the name of fighting Biafra and nobody is disturbing him. But his uncle shared a nude of a child in Germany, and he has been in the court for the past 5 years. As a Nigerian criminal, this man does not understand that sharing any child pornography is a serious crime. And here is where that particular law was derived from. Under this particular treaty, under the United Nations, the optional protocol to the Convention on the Right of the Child on the Sales of Children and Child Prostitution and Child Pornography. He didn't know it's a crime because he is a product of Nigeria. So Nigeria does not respect international law, and that is one of the reasons that are anarchy, insecurity, and all manner of atrocities in Nigeria, and they do not see most of these things as crime. So they come to Europe, they commit these crimes, and they are wondering why police is after them. We will ratify these laws, teach the people what is right and wrong, and make our society a sane and more saner place to live. My fellow Biafrans, on the 2nd of December, alongside other dignitaries that will embrace our convention all over the world, they will witness and observe the Biafra government assent and ratifying the United Nations Optional Protocol to the Convention on the Right of Child on a communication procedure. We will also, on that 2nd of December, ratify the United Nations Optional Protocol on the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, and Degrading Treatment or Punishment. The Biafra government will not only do consent to all these protocols, convention, and optional protocols of the United Nations, but also we are going to ratify the United Nations Optional Protocol to the Convention on the Right of Persons with Disability. I want you to understand that there are many international instruments that the Biafra government will consent to, and make sure we uphold this treaty, not just consenting and ratifying it like Nigeria did and other Islamic terrorist states, but we are going to make sure that we follow these particular laws, because it is the only pathway to peace. Once you uphold this law, the rule of law, and abide by the treaties, it is actually shaping to restore peace, stability, tranquility, and all manner of harmony that you can enjoy as a nation. That's the difference between the Europe and Africa. And like I said, because we have come here, there is no other tribe, there is no other nation in the world that is widely traveled like the Biafra people. And not only that we are traveled, we are also in the government in different countries of our residence. We participate in the nation building, and we have learned a lot, and we want to now bring it to build our nation, to make it the beginning of civilization in Africa. I want to stop here because of time. So I will be taking questions, especially from people who wish to ask questions. And even though I have a limited time, but now you have at least a glimpse of the kind of things we are doing or we are going to do during the convention. It is not just about declaring Biafra restoration and all that. The aim of and objective of this convention is to raise this legal document that we are going to use to pursue the recognition of Biafra as a state. And this is one of the pillars of doing that, is by ratifying the United Nations international human rights treaties and getting ready to abide by these rules and regulations in order to restore peace and stability in our region, in our country, and in our state. Thank you very much, the media team. Over to you, Raphael. I have given you a co-host, so Success, you can continue from here. Thank you.
Live and direct, to hit the like button and of course share the broadcast that others may know that we are live. Very soon we will of course we will call it a day because we have other things to do, and from now we will hit the ground running. We are going to hit the ground running again as usual. We come very, very early today. This is not our normal time of course, coming live. And then many Biafrans are not also aware that we are live this very, of course, afternoon or evening. So let us see what has happened in the United States of America, how Donald Trump becomes the president of the United States of America. I will not talk too much against or about the opposition, because they are now opposition. Even though Joe Biden is still the president till this minute, they are now officially opposition party. That is what it is now. That is what American people have said. That yes, at this minute, you are still in power as the president of America, but you must know that from this day moving forward, you are now opposition party. That is what American people have said. So you can see U.S. election 2024. Of course, Kamala Harris is there by the left-hand side with the blue line, and the Donald Trump is there by the right-hand side with red line. The margin is far from, from competition, as Kamala Harris has, of course, 67,413,254 votes, while Donald Trump has 24 votes. 417,024 votes. You understand now? So there are many millions ahead of Kamala, or is it Kamala or Kamara? Now America you people try very well for electing Donald Trump, especially in this precarious time. In this very precarious time, this crucial moment. in this crucial moment, and I'm going to make a declaration. I'm going to make a declaration at the end of this. Something that I have been saying inside me for the past 5 years. Oh, Chineke Ogini Neme. Ogini, thank you for reminding me. And thank you for this to happen. Thank you for this to happen. I'm going to make a declaration. Something that has been bothering me. Something that has been bothering me for the past 5 years. My heart has been telling me this. My spirit has been telling me this. And I know agree talk am. I know agree talk am. I said no, I don't want to say it in the public. But I will say it today. Just a moment. Yes, I will say it today with reason. And it's going to be a message to Donald Trump. I will say it because I am not going to say because it's the reality. I will say it based on not just my own personal opinion, but what the Spirit of God in me has told me many years ago. 5 good years ago. Now, child, again, it's disturbing me actually, but I will say it. Now, US election 2024 live, Donald Trump wins presidency, defeats Kamala Harris. I don't have to go on and read because you all have already known that that Donald Trump is now the president-elect of the United States of America. Now, Donald Trump, the Republican presidential candidate, is projected to have secured at least the 270 electoral college votes he needs to return to the White House for a second time after his 2017-2021 term. The Associated Press says Trump, 78, has defeated his Democratic rival Kamala Harris, 60, after a hard-fought campaign, according to the projection. That's why they have been trying to buy him. They have been fighting to eliminate him. How many times did they shoot at him? But God, in his infinity mercy, keep him alive. God keep him alive for a reason, for a purpose. For a purpose. I don't want to go into, the narrations and the insinuations of, the activities and whatever that is going on in American politics, or maybe democratic, party. Whatever, I've had a lot. I don't want to go into that because it's not my business. It's not my concern, including the way they are trying to turn the world upside down. I know about those things and all the rules that they are bringing and pushing it to the outside world. I don't want to go into those things because I have my own reason. This broadcast is not for that. Let me allow American people to deal with that. And they have dealt with it. That's why they say, Democrat, we don't want you again for now. They have dealt with it in the civilized way. In the civilized way. This has shown that they are not just hungry. American people are not just hungry. I cannot accept or believe that the American citizens are hungry under, Joe Biden or Democrats. I can't believe that. So I believe that they are not comfortable with the rules and regulations or the pattern of leadership of not just Joe Biden but Democrats. They are not comfortable with the what do you call it? Not just rules and regulations. What there's policies. Yes, the American people have shown that they are not comfortable with the policies of Democrats under Joe Biden. You understand? So that's what they have shown. And I don't want to start spilling other things, how things are, have gone wrong. No, I'm not here for that. But let me say something before I open of course, the microphone for people to come in and make their contribution. What I want to say today is something that has been disturbing me for the past 5 days. Since Donald Trump lost the election 4 years ago, my spirit has been telling me this. And what is that in my spirit has been telling me? You see, before I say it, let me also remind you that Biafra that we are talking about is a spiritual matter, not only physical. I will tell you the two reasons why it is a spiritual matter, not only the physical realm. The first reason is because of who we are. Anybody who is not a Biafran may be asking, who are you? No problem. Say it the way you want. Ask it the way you want. No problem. I have no answer for you. But if you know what the Biafran people stand for, what the Igbos stand for in this world, not only in the zoo, in this Africa or in the world at large, if you want to tell yourself the truth of your life, not the propaganda on the media, not your hatred of the Igbos, if you are able to tell yourself the truth, you ask you now, you as a non-Biafran man or woman, asking, who are you? What do you represent? And you begin to bring propaganda, or you people are selling this, fake medicine, this and that. Leave those propaganda by the side and tell yourself the truth. These people, after the massacre of 1967 to 1970, after the 20 pound to each person that had an account